Hi, everybody. I just realized I'm also live on YouTube and Facebook, and like on TikTok, it doesn't save, so I can just kind of I wait to say hi until people are on. But I just realized that like on YouTube and Facebook, it's gonna be just me sitting here like just waiting. I also realized that that's gonna be really loud for y'all, so I'm just gonna hold this. I apologize, TikTok. Hi, Kat. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that I warned you because I got really bad at warning you. But I really wanted you to come hang out tonight. I don't know how this is gonna go, but because I felt so bad that last night you were like taking part and like you're participating, and I couldn't respond to everything you were saying, but everything you were saying was like so good. So I was like, Kat, come hang out again. Hey there. Hi, welcome in. It's okay, it happens. I know. I know. So how's it going? How's everybody? I'm on my break, and I'm really I say this like every time, and I'm really trying to make a conscious effort to go live like at least once a week. And yesterday I went live with Trey from I Was Like Yo Trey, and it was a really good live. We had a good time. We talked about a lot of like aspects of abuse in queer relationships and recovering from that, and just like lots of experiences because we have really similar stories and timelines and things like that. And we are starting a support group for queer survivors of abuse. And our first session is January 21st. So we came on, we went live last night. We talked about all of that. And so I'm kind of like amped. And I'm like, let's go live again. Let's talk. Let's hang out. Hope you're having a good evening. I am. I'm at work. I mean, I'm in my car right now. Which is weird because usually when I'm in my car, I'm only live on TikTok. I think this is my first time I have my my laptop. I brought my laptop to work, so I was like, I'll go live on Facebook and YouTube as well. So it's like a little bit weird. If anybody walks past, they're gonna be like, "This lady's weird." But yeah, it's good. I have a couple more hours of work left tonight, and then I'm pretty much off for the rest of the week in terms of like my actual job. So that's good. I'm so in love with you, and I'm not even a lesbian. Please keep sharing your videos. Help. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I love that I'm not even a lesbian. Look at me putting my past to good use on a TikTok live. That's right. Oh no. It's all good. I know it's hard to respond on dual lives. Yeah, I knew that you would understand what was happening, and that you weren't being ignored because you've spent a lot of time in lives and like, yeah, you know what's up. What queer is acceptable? Yes. My grandpa came out at 72 years old, divorced my grandma of 27 years today. Aww. See, it's never too late to find out who you are. Hello from kind of Tacoma. Oh my goodness. I sort of say that too. Like when people ask me where I live, I say like I don't live in Seattle, but I'm like a Seattle area because it's like a huge area. And obviously I'm not gonna get specific, but it's like we're kind of close to Seattle, but kind of not. So yeah, I hear you. I'm giving this person the benefit of the doubt. I see you, Kat. Um, Good of you to do. I'm working nights tonight too, prepping for travel, like saving up for travel. Did you tell me this? I feel like was it yesterday? Because I know you were in, and you were saying that you're gonna go on like your first trip in a while or something like that. Um, where are you gonna go? Or did I already ask you that? You said you were gonna like just go. You gave me a couple places, and then you said you were gonna go see the world or something like that. I think was that yesterday? I don't know. My brain is like in a time warp or something. I never know. My client's gonna be like, "What? I changed my shirt because I was wearing like a cardigan, and I just got really annoyed by it because I don't know for some reason when I wear cardigans, which I used to wear cardigans a lot, but now I don't. And so now when I wear them, I just like feel really fussy in them. I'm just like, so like I'm just gonna put this on. I'm gonna be comfortable. Yeah, heading to see. Yeah, I remember Nova Scotia, then from Portland. Was that a week ago? Did I go live a week ago, or was that literally yesterday that you told me that? Because I remembered, but I also didn't. Are you familiar with kin keeping? No. Tell me what that is. I have never heard of that. Then points beyond, tired of being sat on a shelf, days blur. I agree. I'm feeling really antsy because I haven't I haven't planned any trips for this year. So when 2022 rolled around, I already knew that I had several trips, like whether they were booked or not. I knew I was going to Mexico in August. I knew I was going, Mexico in May or whatever it was. I knew I was going to Spain. So I kind of like had everything and then like booked it. Added a couple little trips in there and stuff like that. Well, this year I have booked like some Airbnbs and things like that, but I have no flights for this whole. Actually, I'm going to Boise in March. I'm like way overdue to visit some friends there because I lived in Boise before I lived in Washington. And so we are doing that. My kiddo and I are doing that. But I'm like, I have nothing specifically planned. And I sort of have goals in my mind, but it feels really overwhelming right now to, so I'm just going to not plan anything yet. But it feels like really overwhelming because I know I'm going to travel and I have like all these dreams, but obviously this stuff costs money. So, but yeah, being sat on a shelf and like days blur, like that's kind of how I feel. Obviously I did travel a lot last year, but that's how I feel when like I don't have a trip on the horizon. It just feels like everything just feels so bleak because traveling is so like that's when I really come alive and that's when I feel the most myself. If I could, I would just travel all the time and like that'd be what I would do. Instead of talking about abuse, I would be like sharing travel tips with everybody but like hopefully different from all the other travel accounts because there's like so many of them. But anyway, it's the house responsibilities, all the cooking, cleaning, child rearing, kin keeping. Oh, interesting. Say more though, because why did you ask me about that? Like, what's the next thing? um, my daughter works for an airline, want to use relative flight privileges while I can. Absolutely. I would too. I'll set a goal, but I'll forget it by the next day. Oh, yeah, that's fair. Do you travel overseas? Yes, I actually prefer to travel overseas. I pretty much won't travel in the US unless I like have to or there's a really good reason to. Like I will visit my family even though I don't like love that idea. It's usually fairly cheap to fly to my family because I just fly to Chicago. But whoa, that's really weird. You can see the reflection. It's like so clear. Um but it's really uncomfortable. I should have switched sides. Like, why did I insist on sitting with my okay, anyway. Um yeah, I like the Boise trip, I'm using my Sky Miles, so I'm like and I'm staying with people, so it's like free. But I'm really stingy because travel in the US is really expensive for no reason. Like, why is it so expensive to go to Texas? I don't want to go to Texas. Like, for a couple hundred more dollars, I can go to Europe or I can go to Mexico. And so I've just kind of been like, I'm not going to do that. So yeah, I prefer Europe. Not Europe, but just like overseas. I want to travel across Europe. Yeah, I have a lot on my list. So I can get free flights anywhere, but I have to wait to see if there's an open seat. Yeah, yeah. I would love that. I know. I was just like sitting here and I was like, get all right. We're all human here. I can't like, yeah. Um, yeah, I would love that. But yeah, there you have to obviously have that flexibility and be able to just be ready to just like hop on wherever. Hi, welcome in. How's it going? Kelly. Hey, it's been ages. It has been ages. How are you doing? I know for like weeks and weeks and weeks, months and months and months, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go live more. And I just like, I don't know. I think we talked about this last time and Kat, you were like, you know what? Like do your thing, like take care of yourself because there've been like other things that I've been doing on my work breaks. But I really would like to like make an effort to be on more because I can definitely feel the difference between like when you all feel in community with me. Like obviously you all have lives as well and you have other things that you're doing besides just like being on social media. But I can feel when there's like community and when I feel like a disconnect from the community. And so yeah, this is something that is like really important to me. I've learned a lot since I first got on social media. Like obviously my like myself, my family, my mental health, like my free time and everything like that is more important than like because I've seen people who like probably suffer because they're so caught up on like the rules of social media and like I have to post it this time and it has to be like this with like this audio. And I'm really just like hanging out, you know, and I want this to be beneficial for everybody. Um and yeah, it's not beneficial for me when I'm like forcing it, but I do definitely really value all of your time and when you come on and spend time with me and all that stuff. So all right. When we started, I told him I didn't want to be stuck with all the kin keeping, especially if he wanted me to work. I wanted to work. It's where my abuse, I feel, started. One of the reasons I ask you a lot about your child is because I was stuck with all the childcare when I didn't want to have them right away. Um, so I can relate to that. I always feel weird saying this because like if you have followed me for more than 5 seconds, not necessarily, you know, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, for some reason I don't show my son's face as much, but on Instagram he's there. Instagram is like my safe place. It's where my family is. Like it's a little bit more of me as a person versus like pretty much just abuse content. Anyway, I didn't really want kids. I thought that I was too young for kids. I didn't want to have a kid with the man that I was married to. I knew that we weren't close enough, that our relationship wasn't healthy enough to have a child. But he he came home from deployment and I got pregnant like immediately. And I was like, shit. Like I even was like, hey, we have to be very careful. We don't know each other anymore. You're gone for 7 months. Like we need to have a period of time where we're getting to know each other again. Like you don't even know where half the stuff in the house is because over the last 7 months I've been rearranging the house. So I was pregnant. And he was not abusive to me, but he's a very closed off person, and he's a very like I mean, he's a guy who's in the military. He's very set in his ways, and like so was I. You know, I I would never blame like my relationship with him not working on him at all. It was just two people who like didn't really want to try, and it wasn't working, right? But it was the same where he had this expectation that I was going to be like this housewife and it was going to be like this and I was going to take care of. I mean, there was a time that I was taking care of our son all the time, 3 dogs. One of them was a big dog who had behavior issues and was not my dog. Our house, our yard, all the things. And he was just like off having his career and I wasn't making my own money. And it turned out to be like really, really detrimental on our relationship. And obviously, if you know me, you know that I'm queer. And eventually I would have realized that and understood that. And that would have like, I spent like the whole time I was with my abuser, I blamed the reason for our breakup on my queerness, but there was a lot more to it. But the reason why I'm saying this to you is because, again, I want to relate to you and I completely understand that there is like in our society a lot of this expectation where like just to make this heterosexual where the man has this expectation that this is what you're going to do. I'm going to keep my job. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And I have seen lots of really healthy families where it's the opposite and the guy stays home and the woman's working or they take turns or they support each other. But when there's abuse involved, what often is happening is that, you know, of course, he's keeping you without your own source of income, without, oh man. Next time I go live, if y'all see me in the driver's seat, just, oh wait, I can't put it down because the fan on the left. Okay, all right. I'm also wearing leggings under my pants and legging shorts under my pants because I just went to pole class. And I wear shorts at pole, but then it was cold, so I had leggings on, and then I put my jeans back on. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's very much like you said here, that's you feel like where your abuse started. So a lot of times, like everything's fine. Hey, Liz, welcome in. How's it going? Then you're cornered. You're stuck, and they have the kids as an excuse to keep you in that world, in that little bubble that they have you in. And it's very difficult to get out. And a lot of people are in that bubble until the kids are grown. And then, of course, then you're like, maybe you can get out because the kids are grown, but like you feel like you don't even know who you are. I would love to backpack through Europe. at least 2 weeks, but close to a month. Yeah, like the way I see it in terms of travel, like do whatever you can, right? If it's 2 weeks, you can't get any more time off work or you don't have the finances to do a month, do it. When it comes to Europe, if you can get over there, like the ticket is really expensive a lot of times. Well, compared to like, I don't know, me flying to Chicago, it's a lot more to fly to Madrid or something like that. But once you get over there, and especially if you're like backpacking and you're alone and you can stay in cheap places or you can like camp or something like that, you can kind of stretch it out a little bit because it's a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper than being here. That's for sure. Depending where you're at. Hi. I think right now it's about her ex. Yeah, that was a weird one because I don't usually talk about my son's dad, who's not my abuser. I had a lot of people asking me last night when I was live with Trey if he was my abuser, and I'm like, no, my abuser was not a man. A lot of people do get confused because I have a son. They assume that my abuser was a man. Also, like a lot of people just always assume that like what we know about abuse, what we've been taught about abuse is that it's always a man abusing a woman. Not always the case. That's why Trey and I started this support group for queer survivors of abuse, because we have this whole added layer and a lot of people don't understand that. This helps a lot. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm so glad you asked, and I'm glad that was helpful. Sometimes I start like telling stories and like trying to relate, and then it ends up being like way too long. And I'm like, I hope everyone's following me. I do that sometimes on my podcast too, where I'm like, and then this, and here's my point. Long story short, she had an abusive ex and got out of it safely with her child. Yes. And again, the abusive ex is not my son's dad. My son's dad and I co-parent together. He is not abusive. He's not the best at communicating. He's not like, we're not best friends, but we have a lot of respect for each other and we mostly get along in terms of how we raise the kiddo and stuff like that. We both put him first and mostly it works. It's a lot easier without my abuser involved, who was like, we were all pawns on their chessboard and stuff like that. Yeah, he admitted to getting me pregnant, so I'd be stuck with him. Very common tactic of abusers. This is part of the love bombing. It doesn't have to necessarily be in the love bombing phase, but what we see with abusive people is they'll give you everything you want up front. They'll pull back. And then a lot of times that in that big wave of momentum, they're trying to get you to sign a lease with them or like buy a house or get married or have a kid, buy a dog, like anything that they can do to have you have roots with them, to like tie you down. They can do that. And then another thing is if it's not in the initial love bombing like wave, then maybe it's 1, 2, 3 years or 6 months or 9 months later when you're starting to feel like this is not the person, this is not the relationship, this isn't healthy, this isn't good, and you're starting to try to get out of it, then they're going to, again, get you pregnant to like lock you in, be like, hey, let's buy that house. I know you've been wanting to buy a house. We're in this apartment. Let's go do that. And they're locking you in. They're getting you a dog. They're getting you a cat. They're doing whatever they can to have more ties to you so that you don't leave. All right, I'm way behind on TikTok. Things are going well. Have you been? I was like really sick over the holidays, but I am finally feeling a lot better. Exactly. Do what you need to. First, we understand TikTok isn't priority. And actually, TikTok is like the bottom of the barrel for me because, no offense. It's just like, I mean, Facebook and Instagram right now for me are like my top priorities. But in terms of going live, I really like going live on TikTok. Wait, there's a world besides social media? Weird, right? Not that I don't love seeing your beautiful face. No, I can't. I mean, it's kind of weird because you still see me on social media, even if I'm not live, like I'm still posting, but I don't get to see you. So it's a little different. Same, we value time with you, but we completely understand prioritizing. Thank you so much. Can't keep giving from a dry well. Tried for many years, slowly refilling now. Absolutely. I love that. I couldn't fake vanilla being the only flavor I liked forever, especially the narcissistic brand. Absolutely. Speaking of priorities, I have to work but have fun. Oh, I'm sure I missed you, but yes. Wrap around. We're going to wrap around. Yep. Exactly. Hi from Philly. Hello. Welcome in. I'm glad you're using the word people and not being one-sided about things. I really try. The weird thing is that whenever I make an abuse video that goes viral, like if it stays with my target audience, like my followers and stuff, everyone understands. Everyone gets it. Like there might be someone new who's like, yeah, screw him or something like that. But a lot of men come in and they're very angry at me and they like sort of want to try to attack my character. And they're like, oh, I'm sure, you're probably like a whore, so he left you or something. And I'm like, actually, I'm kind of on your side here because my abuser was not a man. And I'm out here saying that it's not always men who are doing the abusing, but you guys are making yourselves look dumb. No offense, because I see that, at least I think you're a man because your name is Daniel, and you're thanking me for not using men specifically. Of course, I try not to ever assume anyone's gender, so correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, I do. I also try to use they a lot to keep it more neutral. Sometimes I'll use an example, but I do try to do that because while yes, there are a lot of men abusing women, anyone can be abusive and anyone can be abused. So that is part of my message. That's part of why I'm here, is to try to spread awareness of that. One of my loved ones got pregnant by her abuser. She eventually left and now has a beautiful son. I'm so glad that she left. I can imagine that it's still hard, like just having a baby with someone that hurt you so bad, and knowing that that baby has that other person as a parent. But what a beautiful gift, and that she was able to get away. Just to be fair, it takes two people to get pregnant. There are measures that can. I don't agree. So a woman consenting to have sex with a man, or a person with a uterus consenting to have sex with a man, does not also consent to getting pregnant. Those are two different things. And I think that society as a whole, and especially men, and I am going to call this out, do not understand that. Just because someone says, yes, you may enter, does not mean that you can be careless. And a lot of times what we see with abusive people is that they won't pull out and the other person has not given permission. So if for the last 6 months you've been having sex unprotected, but the person is pulling out every time and then all of a sudden they don't, that's abusive, because that person has made a choice for the other person's body without their permission. And I know that you're saying that's why I use birth control, but not everyone does. A lot of people who are in a relationship that's, they're committed and, whatever, they might make a choice not to use birth control. And yes, birth control and condoms aren't 100% effective. And an abusive person might take your birth control from you. That's on the list on the hotline.org, taking your birth control from you, or refusing to use condoms, or poking holes in the condoms, or whatever. Like, these things happen. And it's not necessarily like we can't, as a society, just use birth control, it's fine, it takes two people, because that's blaming hundreds of thousands of women who have been impregnated without their consent. This is a very real thing. Not to mention there are medical reasons that people sometimes can't use birth control. Absolutely. Absolutely. Abuse can be subtle. They lure you in. Absolutely. Okay. Circling back over here. Hey, I finally caught alive. Yes. Welcome in, Sherry. Does your ex have child support? Does your ex have child support even though it's not the parent currently and is not the donor? I don't think I understand the question. Maybe try to say it one more different way, because I'm not sure I understand. I have TikTok, but don't go on it. Sometimes I'll make videos on it. That's okay. To each their own. Sorry, I'm new on your channel, but are you still with your abuser? I am not. Welcome to my channel. So for anyone who's new here, because I know my YouTube has been growing a little bit lately, I have a son with my ex-husband, who's not my abuser. We separated almost 4 years ago. Do I have that right? Kat, you're my secretary. No, I'm just kidding. Almost 4 years ago, I ended up getting into a relationship with another queer person, was abused with them for 2.5 years, left them, went no contact 14, 15 months ago. I have absolutely no contact with my abuser. Again, my abuser is not a man. It's not my son's dad. Is your abuser gone? Yes. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at. Birth control is also awful on your body. It is. And that's the other hard thing. And I think people are finally starting to realize that, because up until now, it's just been like, the woman has to do this. This is the way it goes. Or else if she gets pregnant, it's her fault and she's horrible. But now people are starting to realize that that's really messed up, and that's not how it should be. Because it is really hard on your body. And I'm very thankful that I was on birth control 10, 12 years ago, and I haven't been since. I got sick. I gained weight. a lot of people get like migraines, horrible things. Women have had strokes, young women, people in like their early 20s. Birth control can ruin your life. So it's not something to just take lightly and be like, everything's fine if you're taking the pill or something. Because that's just not, and a lot of people are married. So a lot of people who are married are like, I'm not going to, we don't want a kid. We're not going to try for a kid. Yes, it could happen, but we're going to be really smart about it. And then if the abusive person is a man, a cisgendered man, then, people are like, well, they're married. Well, they were having sex. Well, that's not the case. If she didn't say, yes, go ahead, try to get me pregnant, it's a no. You should read the warnings on birth control sometime if you think it's safe. The side effects are crazy. Yes, absolutely, Kat. Xnark got a pup to manipulate. I caught on and changed my mind, was afraid he would take it away from me. Did you get the puppy? I was in a similar situation. I don't know if you've seen my content about my dog Pip. I do talk about her a lot. I've made a podcast episode about it. I've made some TikTok videos about it. I got a dog, Pip, as an emotional support dog in early 2020. And my abuser didn't want the dog. And then when I got the dog, trained the dog, stay up late with the dog, blood, sweat, and tears with the dog, they started taking the dog away from me, keeping the dog away from me. And so for 2.5 years, not 2.5 years, a year and a half, I was like separated from the dog. Like sometimes like I would take her with me and my son, and we would go to the beach, and we would go out, and we would do the stuff like to get out of the house and to have calm time together. And so I would have access to her sometimes, but like if I was crying and she was doing her behaviors, like sitting with me when I was like crying or sad, my abuser would come like take her away from me. And when I tried to leave, that was one of the things that they were like adamant about, was like, I'm taking the dog, I'm keeping the dog, she's mine, I'll sue you if you try to keep her. And it's all a tactic. Like you said, it's all manipulation. It's all to guilt you. It's all to make you feel bad. And they will even use, I think I talked about this in the in the podcast episode, but they'll even use the animal to like devalue you. So my abuser like knew that I wanted love, and then they would like over the top shower the dog with affection. And if you don't understand covert abuse, you'll be like, everyone over the top showers their dog with affection, but it would be like, good, she's looking, it's all calculated. And of course, I got the dog, someone got the dog back for me, and they never said a word about it. They just moved on. They didn't really want the dog. They didn't really care about the dog. So that's how it goes. And the same thing can happen with kids. It's all manipulation. Women choose their body and what they want to do with it. Yeah, but again, the problem is that society still doesn't see it that way. Men don't see it that way. A lot of married people, they're like, this is my wife. I will do what I want. She's my wife. She signed up for this. I want this. She's going to do this. And that is absolutely not true. I want to say, but I have to go. Thank you so much for everything. Thanks for hanging out. My sister went on birth control and it made her gain like 20 pounds. It made her very depressed. Yeah, that sucks. That's a very real thing. If you're fine with sharing with us, how old is your son? He's going to be 5 in like 10 days, a little more than 10 days. Was your abuser a man? No. No, I didn't. Thankfully, he was weeks old. I went no contact. Then I got one on my own. She saved my life. She's my emotional support. We love that. That is exactly what I was afraid of. I would have went crazy over that shit. Yeah, it was very hard. I really thought I was going to lose her. And the thing is that I left both of my dogs. One of them was like very old, and I had her before I met my ex-husband. Like I've had her forever. She's very old. And someone in town who went to the same gym where my abuser worked said that they were going to put my old dog in the pound and keep my emotional support dog. And I did not want my old dog to get put in the pound because like that's a horrible life. And I was pretty sure that I could get Pip back, but it was just like this, like I left them really, really hoping that I could get them back. But it was really, really scary. I thought that I might not. But the thing is, and this is really horrible, like I had to leave them to save my son. And it's like, I was at this point where it was like, I might lose them and I might have to be okay with that. And it was just a really horrible time. So yes, absolutely. It's really scary what people are willing to do to hurt people and to involve, innocent kids and animals and all of that. Yeah, thanks, Kat, for getting that one. Yeah, Daniel. So my abuser was not a man. And I never make anything specific about men because I don't date men. I don't have really anything to do with men at all. All of my content is gender neutral. I say an abuser or things like that. I'm definitely not out here saying that all men are abusive, but when it comes to cisgendered men getting women pregnant, specifically what we were talking about, the man is the only one who knows the moment that yes, the woman can like have an idea that it's going to happen, but the man is the only one who's in control of his body. So at that point, that's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that all men are abusive, but if you do that to your wife without permission, that's a no. Sorry, you don't have to say this, but did you get a therapist? I've talked about this a lot. Again, I have a podcast episode on this. I do actually have a therapist. I only see her like every 2 weeks because I'm still not 100% like, I lost a lot of trust for therapists because of the things that I experienced when I was with my abuser. We did couples therapy for 2 years. I had my own therapist for 2 years. A lot of bad experiences. In fact, I just made a video about that the other day. But I do work also with a trauma recovery coach, which is what I do. And it's someone who went through the same program as me, went through the same training, is trauma informed, and I feel much safer. And I feel that I get to work through a lot more than I ever had with therapists. A lot of time in my experience, no offense if you have a therapist and you love them, or if you are a therapist, talk therapy with a regular therapist hasn't been very helpful to me. In fact, it's been harmful. So I do prefer to work with specifically a trauma recovery coach who's certified from the same place as me. Because again, I know exactly what they learned, same training as I did. Yeah. I just left mine, but this in between stage because we have a child together is hard when I have him to figure out a way to let him see his child, but I worry the whole time. Sorry. My son is with him. I'm hoping for some advice. He's at the point he begs me to come home and he's going to go get help, but I have heard this before. When I say no, he starts to bring up our son and how it's my fault that our son is going through this. Honestly, have you guys like gone through any kind of like, have you met with lawyers or done anything like that? Because the only advice that I can have is like try to have some proof of his abuse and try to find someone who can help you set up like you have to set up like custody. And sometimes an abusive person will fight you for custody just to punish you, but sometimes they won't because they know they don't want the kid around because it's going to be in their way while they're going to go off and do whatever they want with another person. So it all just depends. But stay strong, try to stay away, try not to let him guilt you because it's not even about the kid at this point. How are you today? Thanks for asking. I am good. I have about like 10 minutes left before I have to go to work. But welcome in. I'm glad you're here. I had a close friend who was in an abusive relationship for a while and never told anyone. That's very common too. I do talk about that a lot of like how difficult it is to talk about it. In fact, I think Trey and I mentioned that in our live last night, how like it can be embarrassing. It can be embarrassing if you tell someone and then you don't leave right away. You're kind of like, oh, I don't want to talk to that person anymore because they're going to think that I'm weak or dumb or crazy or dramatic or something like that. And then also, we spend a lot of time protecting our abusers and we're actually like trained to protect them. In fact, the one time that I threatened to call the police, and I haven't actually talked about this very much, there was one time that like I don't know why, like if your person is abusing you, which a lot of times we don't understand that we're being abused, um never tell them what you're thinking because they're gonna gaslight you and they're going to use that to abuse you. But I was like, I honestly, like when we were like calming down, I was like, I almost called the police when I left tonight. And they were like, you can never call the police. You can't call the police on me because my brother got arrested and it'll stress my parents out if I go to jail too. And they have to get a lawyer for me too. Do y'all hear what I just said? Like this person was essentially admitting to having like harmed me. And they were like, you can't call I can't go to jail too because my brother went to jail for harming his wife. Like we can't both be in and out of jail or in and out of like courtrooms and stuff like that. So you can't call on me. And I was like, oh yeah. And yes, that makes me sound dumb to the untrained, like anyone outside who's like never experienced anything like this. Um, it makes me sound dumb, it makes me sound weak, it makes me sound whatever. It actually makes me sound trauma bonded, because that's what that is. Your abuser will, if you tell them that you're trying to leave, they will talk you out of it. If you say, I'm going to look for apartments, they'll tell you why you can't do it. You can't afford it. Who's going to take care of your kid? You can't even remember to feed the dogs. Well, that's because I'm being abused, and my brain is always this cluster F of whatever. But when I get out and I'm calm and my nervous system is calm and the cognitive dissonance goes away, I will be able to do all the things by myself, just like I did before you came along. So that's why we never want to tell our abusers what we're thinking. But yeah, that was circling back to like the person who never told anyone. That's very common. This friend is not alone in that. A lot. And then there's a stigma. You know, if there are people who, like, if I tell someone like, oh, I was in an abusive relationship, they're going to look at me, and it's the victim shaming. It's like, why did you pick that person? Why did you get in that relationship? That's really not how this works, but a lot of people think it does. Men, women should never treat a person like this. I agree. After she told me, she said that the main reason was because she thought he would find out. I should have known that it was happening. She would disappear for days, and later she said he would lock her up. Oh my God, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. And she's out now. They were saying in general that no one should treat anyone like that. Yes. Thank you. It's just my son is level 3 nonverbal autism, and I would never know if he hurt him. So I'll have to look into getting a lawyer and getting proof. You definitely need to find someone who has experience. If there is a shelter nearby, or even one that's not, call a shelter in another state, and they might say, like, I can't offer you services, but like, just say, I need to know if there's a lawyer somewhere that I can get in touch with who knows about domestic violence. I need somebody who knows about domestic violence and will be here and on my side and protect my son, because a lot of people just don't understand that, and they're like, let's just get you out of this relationship. No, I need my son protected. I need to know that my son is not going to be put in a situation where he's being abused, and unless he comes home with injuries, I won't ever know. Sorry if you said this, but has your abuser hurt your kid? As far as I know, they never physically harmed my kid. This was something that I grappled with a lot when I first left. Did they? I don't know. I don't think they did, because my son has been very, he's spoken very well since he was quite young. And I think he would have been able to tell me. I didn't spend a lot of time away from him, so I feel like he would have said, you know, why did they do this? Or something like that. At least that's what I'm telling myself. But I do know that they were very controlling to him. I would definitely say emotionally abusive to him, invalidating him, impatient. And I'm not just like, we're all like, I get impatient. Sometimes I do things that, you know, I'm not proud of because I'm tired, and then later I feel guilty, but it's normal. We're humans. We're trying to heal. We're trying to break the cycle, but we're healing too, right? Very different when, you know, you're using someone as a pawn and you have absolutely no emotional skills for yourself, let alone to be around a child. I do remember spending a lot of time protecting him. Like, I felt like a lot of times, like, I was, so to speak, like putting my body between the two of them. Like, I would hear them start to do something and I would just step in and take over, just sort of protecting him from that. Do you think they threaten him not to tell you? I don't think so. I don't know. And I may never know. Sorry, I have to leave now. It was nice talking with you. I wish you the best. Thank you so much. And I'm glad you were here, and thanks for interacting. I am going to probably wrap this up, though, because I do have about 10 minutes to get back into work. It is my lunchtime. Here are my glasses. If you're on last week, I got caught without my glasses in the building, so I have them now. Also, I just want to say I love how you're being the best mom you can. Thank you so much. Yeah, my son has helped me a lot in my healing journey. Like, just, I see a lot of myself in him, and he's not me. He's his own person. But in terms of like emotions and feelings and working through things, I see a lot of like little me. And I always have, like, when he had a need, I was like, do it for him. Not because like I'm doing it for me, but like there's just this beautiful thing about being able to heal your own wounds, because your child is like helping you heal them, and then you prevent their wounds. Not all of them, because again, I'm human, but like, I'm going to not hand this down to you because I'm going to heal this for both of us. So thank you. Hey, Lindsay, hope you're well. Thank you for your content, and I hope to catch up another coaching session soon. Hi, Blake. How are you? I'm just, oh, hi, Jesse. How's it going? Lots of people I know are popping in right when I'm leaving. yeah, I'm about to pop off. Blake, shoot me an email and let me know how you're doing. And yeah, if you want to book a session with me, I am here. It's all on the website. You know where to go. I would love to catch up with you. But I do hope you're well. Hey girl, hope you're doing well. Yes, thanks, Jesse. Same to you. I wish we had more time to catch up. Unfortunately, I'm on my work break, so I have to go back inside. But yeah, I hope to catch up with both of the people who just popped in, both of these friends that I haven't seen for a little bit. Yeah. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your time. Do something nice for yourself. Drink some water. I'll try to do the same. Bye, y'all. Take care.